So my friends, let's talk about hated levels in video games. Now there are many not so great video game levels that we played through once and promptly forget about, but every so often a level proves so traumatically awful that it sears itself into our memory forevermore. Now these levels might be indecently difficult, mechanically sloppy, or just a massive slog, but each counts itself amongst the most widely loathed in the history of video games, and we're gonna go through them together today. However, instead of adding to the hate, I'm here to share the love. As remember, this is a cooperative list, and this week we have none other to thank than Lonely Luna for their submission from last week's episode, which will be making an appearance later on in the video. And if you want to be in with a chance to feature in next week's episode, then have a think on what entry you'd pick for the best video game companions. However, before I turn you lovely lot into enemies, let's get those engines revved and that blood all fizzy as we speak on the 10 most hated video game levels. Number 10. Heading Upriver, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Now played today, the original Uncharted may feel like a mere rough sketch of the series' future brilliance, but even upon its release back in 2007, those damn dirty jet ski levels were sheer fresh hell. Heading Upriver sees Nate and Elena hop onto a jet ski for a second and thankfully final time as they ride against the raging rivers towards a monastery. And even if the sheer jank of controlling this unwieldy piece of machinery wasn't bad enough, you've also got to deal with explosive barrels and enemy gunfire ad nauseum. There is nothing even remotely fun about this level. It's clunky and irritating from start to finish, and asks the player to spin too many plates at once given the jet ski's controls and total lack of finesse. Though mercifully brief at around 10 minutes in length, it's a sequence so viscerally frustrating that it'll almost turn you off the whole game entirely, and if you value your sanity, don't even think about trying to get through this on crushing difficulty.
Be careful.
Come on. I always am. Ah! I did not see that!
Number 9. The Tutorial Driver. Now, Driver is one of the most iconic video games ever released for the PS1, and yet a large swathe of players never made it past what is surely the worst tutorial level in gaming history. Before you can even play the game proper, Driver traps you inside a parking garage, or car hole as we call it here, and forces you to complete a list of, quote, basic maneuvers, from the simplicity of 180-degree turns and brake tests to doing a slalom. Now, a big part of the problem is that the tutorial is incredibly vague about what it wants you to do, which combined with a brutal 60-second time limit ensures that this is quite arguably the toughest part of the entire game. On the plus side, once you've made it through this, what the rest of the game throws at you seems rather trivial by comparison. All the same, developers Reflections Interactive clearly forgot that their game would be played by a lot of kids who have no idea what a bloody slalom was, and in 1999 didn't necessarily have easy access to the internet to look up the solution. Cheers. Number 8. The Dam, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Water levels are, well, absolute trash, and that has been the immeasurable truth ever since the earliest days of gaming, as best evidenced by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the years. Now, the game's second level, The Dam, is a sodden-soaking brick wall which the vast majority of players will never have been able to scale. You're tasked with swimming around the Hudson River Dam and disarming a number of bombs while steering clear of electrified fences, antsy aquatic enemies, and a migraine-inducing the unfair time limit of just 140 seconds. With so many perilous elements inviting a swift game over, the margin for error here is razor thin, which when combined with the punishing time constraints made it feel like Konami basically created the level out of spite. Hell, even Turtles co-creator Kevin Eastman recently admitted that even he never managed to beat it, which says it all really. While most terrible video game levels are at least beatable, TMNT's Dam was so spiritually defeating that it surely caused many to put down their controller and never pick it back up. Number 7. The Atlantis Music Sections, Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay, let's set out our stall bright and early with this one, as I absolutely adore the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I love the absolute bonkers blend of franchises, I love the combat, and I even love the over-the-top melodrama that oozes from every confusing plot-based pore. However, and I think every Kingdom Hearts fan can agree with this, there are some aspects about this franchise that are sheer and utter bop. Outside of the rather backwards storytelling that requires you to have memorized every mainline entry and all of the supplementary spin-off content, there's more than a few eye-rakingly frustrating moments. The traversal in Deep Jungle, the weird 100-acre woods that was presented in Kingdom Hearts 3, and of course, the top of the trash pile and Lonely Luna's pick for this list, Atlantis in Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, as Lonely Luna points out, we love Kingdom Hearts 2, and many of us love The Little Mermaid, but when delivered together, it's bullshit. Because not only is this musical minigame an absolute chore to get through, but to even start the process is a pain in the blowhole, as you'll be sent away time and time again if you don't have the right equipment or skills. Now, true, the reward for this is pretty decent and the area is optional, but as anyone who's engaged in this colourful choral test of patience will tell you, after repeatedly failing sections over and over again, you'd wish that Ariel got her neck stuck in a plastic six-pack holder. Number 6. The Nightmare Levels, Max Payne. Now, in a misguided attempt to inject some variety into its John Woo-inspired shoot-'em-up gameplay, the original Max Payne features a few nightmare sequences which rip your guns away. Now, these levels place Max inside a thoroughly cursed manifestation of his home, where players must navigate a maze of hallways and run along a series of blood trails without falling into the abyss below. The fiddly platforming means that you'll spend far longer in this hellscape than you'll want to, and rather than provide a welcome change in pace from all the adrenalized gunplay, the nightmares feel like tedious, arbitrary chores before you can get back to the good stuff. They get a few points for their appropriately oppressive atmosphere, but mechanically speaking, they are utterly dreadful. In the very least, Remedy listened to the fans' vocal disdain for these levels and kept them out of the 2 sequels. Number 5. Fair Play, Mafia. Mafia remains one of the very best open-world action games released in the wake of Grand Theft Auto 3, but that does come with a major asterisk because of its 5th story mission, Fair Play. Now, Fair Play forces players to put down their guns for a bit and take part in the Lost Heaven Grand Prix, but between your car's pathetic handling, the abusive rubber-banding AI, and the requirement that you win the race to proceed, it's a level which simply gated many players off from experiencing the rest of what Mafia had to offer. The race proved infuriating enough that developer Illusion Softworks eventually released a patch to lessen the difficulty, though by that point, many had surely bounced off and returned to the comforting warm blanket that is Grand Theft Auto. 2020's Mafia remake thankfully gave the mission's difficulty a rather colossal nerf, effectively rendering it trivial, though those keen masochists keen to re-traumatize themselves could still use the classic difficulty setting to play it the old-fashioned way. Number 4. Can't Wait to Be King, The Lion King. 1994's video game adaptation of The Lion King took it upon itself to become the Dark Souls of Disney games for some weird reason, which is a bold strategy for a title aimed firmly at young children. Now, many young players would have surely never made it past the game's 2nd level, Can't Wait to Be King, which, rather than offer up a charming rendition of one of the movie's most iconic songs, decided to put the player through the damn ringer. This level requires a maddening degree of precision platforming as you swing between trees and ride ostriches, which was sure to leave even the most nimble-fingered of gamers spiking their blood pressure to dangerous levels. Even as an adult with decades of gaming experience behind you, it's no easier getting through this thing, and if you let it, the repetitive background music will slowly chip away at your sanity. And also, here's a not-so-fun fact: the level was reportedly made more difficult at Disney's request, who wanted to ensure the game couldn't be beaten during a weekend rental. Cheers. Number 3. The Library, Halo Combat Evolved. Thank God the Halo Master Chief Collection lets you skip past any level you want, because the library from the original game is a sleeping pill in first-person form. A tedious slog blatantly intended to pad out the game's length, the library forces you to fight through 4 copy-paste floors of a dull-looking building while shooting at waves of alien critters known as the Flood. It's so samey looking, in fact, that it's incredibly easy to lose track of where the hell you're supposed to be going. And to make matters worse, the checkpoint triggers are insanely inconsistent, meaning that death can make you lose an unreasonable amount of progress. After so many thrilling all-timer missions, the library grinds Halo's pacing to a pure halt for about an hour, and remains a major stain on what is otherwise one of the greatest FPS campaigns ever made. Number 2. Meat Circus, Psychonauts. If you play through Psychonauts today, nobody would blame you for just getting to the last level and watching the rest of it on YouTube. After so many hours of charming and inventive gameplay, the cult platformer soils the bed with its very last level, the Meat Circus. From an aesthetic perspective, this putrid carnival of dead animals is absolutely unforgettable for all the right reasons, but when it comes to gameplay, it is positively hateful. The Meat Circus represents a brutal difficulty spike, combining a fiddly escort mission with extremely tricky, time-sensitive platforming, enemies who rudely regenerate, infrequent checkpoints, and a hellacious final boss on top of it all. Though Psychonauts' camera and control schemes certainly seem dated today, even upon original release in 2005, they made the Meat Circus far more of a chore than it needed to be. Developer Double Fine at least gave the difficulty a welcome nerf for the Steam release, but those playing on the PS2 and Xbox back in the day, well, they were stuck with the overly punitive original version. And number 1, wrong side of the tracks, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now there's a special place reserved in hell for whoever signed off on GTA San Andreas' atrocious early game difficulty spike mission, Wrong Side of the Tracks. Now in theory, it sounds like a total blast. You need to hop on a dirt bike with Big Smoke and chase a train keeping pace with it while Big Smoke opens fire upon those on board. Except Big Smoke must have been a stormtrooper in another life because his weapon tactics are purely just spray and pray. Oh, and if you crash the bike, you'll likely fail the mission as the train gets away, accompanied by Smoke's blood-boiling one-liner, all we had to do was follow the damn train, see, Jake. Just shut up, Big Smoke! It was possible to spend hours getting through what seems like such a simple mission on paper, evidently a result of Rockstar's failure to sufficiently balance its difficulty.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 most hated levels in video games. What do you think about that? Let me know down in the comment section below, and also put your suggestions for what you think are the best video game companions to be in with a chance of featuring in next week's video. But before I go, I just want to say one thing, my friend. Even though we spoke today a lot about hated moments in video games, let's talk about love instead, and the love we should have for ourselves, because you know what? You deserve the best things in life, like love, happiness, and success, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. You are a massive ledge, and I wish you nothing but the best, my friend. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.